A very good evening and a warm welcome to this week's last edition of Prime Time News. I'm Selima Shumwefeleni. We begin with Cabinet Matters. Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Dr. Pea Moshelenga, has announced that Cabinet has approved the introduction and launch of new identity document cards that will be issued to citizens, permanent residents, permit holders, and refugees.
Moshelenga made the announcement today while announcing cabinet decisions that were approved this week. He said, the proposal was submitted by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, and the first people to receive the new IDs at no cost are President Hage Geingob, founding President Sam Nujoma, former President Hifikepunye Pohamba, current Vice President Nangolo Mbumba, and Prime Minister Sarah Kawongerwa Madira. Others are Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, National Assembly Speaker Peter Kashavivi, National Council Chairperson Lucas Shinimbo, and Chief Justice Peter Shivute. Eska Kamanya Nampa News.
Moving across our borders, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on Thursday expressed shock over the news that the Ethiopian government has declared 7 UN officials, including senior UN humanitarian officials, as persona non grata and ordered them to leave the country.
Guterres said in a statement, all UN humanitarian operations are guided by the core principles of humanity, impartiality, neutrality, and independence. He added, in Ethiopia, the UN is delivering life-saving aid including food, medicine, water and sanitation supplies to people in desperate need. Guterres stressed he has full confidence in the UN staff who are in Ethiopia doing this work. The United Nations is committed to helping Ethiopian people who rely on humanitarian assistance, he said. The UN head noted that they are now engaging with the government of Ethiopia in the expectation that the concerned UN staff will be allowed to continue their important work. The Foreign Ministry of Ethiopia on Thursday declared 7 UN officials persona non grata for meddling in the internal affairs of the country. They were given 72 hours to leave Ethiopia.
Back home, where the 2 suspects who were implicated in a wide circulating video on social media of brutally killing a trapped hyena have been arrested. This is according to a statement issued by the Ministry of Environment on its social media page. The statement further applauded the public for their cooperation that led to the suspect's arrest. The ministry further cautioned against the perpetration of wildlife-related crimes. Moving on to party matters. SWAPO Party Secretary-General Sophia Shaningwa on Thursday announced the party's think tank team, which will serve as its research arm and guide its policy formulation.
Shanunga made the announcement during a press conference held at the party's headquarters, where she said the team will serve until 2022. She noted that in the fast-changing world, continuous calls for strategic changes and that of new strategies on how to manage a modern mass-based political party to address the fast-changing political landscape is needed. The party Secretary-General also said the main mission of the think tank is to provide evidence-based political options on the political, economical, social, scientific, and technological issues to the SWAPO party and her government through consultancy, advocacy, and operational research using appropriate technology. She further said the party has less than 5 months to host its next national policy conference, where the think tank is expected to develop and draft policies and research papers for consideration, which is why the buy-in of all members is vital.
Stand by for your top roundup. In the business and economic segment tonight, we begin with labor-related matters. Namibia Revolutionary Transport Union Naretu Commander-in-Chief Peterson Kambinda says employers who force their workers to get vaccinated or risk losing their jobs are violating the human rights of employees.
Kambinda made the remarks on Thursday during a press conference that took place at the union's head office in Windhoek. The union was formed a month ago and represents truck drivers and employees in the transport and logistic industry. He said the union has noted with great concern that there are employers giving employees deadlines for them to be vaccinated or lose their jobs. He added those doing so should stop with immediate effect because it is a violation of human rights and not in line with the Labour Act and Namibia's constitution. Kambinda also noted that no employee should lose their job because of refusal to be vaccinated or being vaccinated by the so-called deadline. Approached for comment on the vaccination requirements, Petrina Ngindengwa, who is the Deputy Director of Occupational Health and Safety in the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, said the Labour Act makes provision for employers to ensure a safe environment in their workplaces, but at the same time employees also have their rights.
Moving on to neighboring Angola, where the central bank governor, Jose Lima Massano, announced that the accumulated inflation in that country should reach 27% by the end of 2021.
Massano made a summary of the national and international macroeconomic situation and future perspectives at a meeting Thursday of the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee. He said inflationary pressures remained at levels above 25% in the second quarter, with inflation reaching 26.9% in August, mainly due to higher food prices. The Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee estimated that the inflation rate will reach 27% at the end of 2021 and start falling only from 2022. The policy committee decided to maintain the interest rate at 20%, the liquidity supply rate at 25%, and the liquidity absorption rate at 15%, Massano said.
We will be back shortly after the economics roundup. It's time for the weather forecast, followed by your sports update with Michael Madimba.
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sport on Sport Planet with me, Michael Madimba. We kick off tonight's sports segment with some rugby news. The Springboks plan to unleash another box-kick bombardment against the All Blacks on Saturday as the world champions face the prospect of 4 straight defeats for the first time since 2016.
The South Africans continually punted the ball high in a tight 19-17 loss to New Zealand last week and believe the game plan can deliver victory in the return fixture on Australia's Gold Coast. Fly half Henry Pollard brushed off criticism that South Africa's tactics were one-dimensional ahead of the Rugby Championship's 6th-round fixture, saying there was no need for change. Pollard insisted the Springboks' self-belief had not been dented by 3 consecutive losses, 2 to Australia and 1 to New Zealand. Coach Jacques Nienaber said South Africa's recent results were bitterly disappointing but believed a colossal 80-minute effort would see them end the tournament on a high. The All Blacks have already sealed the Rugby Championship title and regained the world #1 ranking, but say there will be no slackening off of what is essentially a dead rubber tie.
Moving on to some football news. With only 6 rounds been played so far in the English Premier League, heavyweights Liverpool and Manchester City will look to lay claim as early title contenders as they battle it out in a mouth-watering clash at Anfield on Sunday afternoon.
It will be the battle of the big guns as both teams who had contrasting fortunes in their Champions League assignments will look to come out victors in this epic clash. Liverpool, on a high after their emphatic triumph over Porto earlier in the week, will seek to maintain their winning momentum over their fierce rivals, City. City, on the other hand, who were put to the sword by PSG earlier in the week as well, will look to maintain their brilliant league form after last week's win over arch-rivals, Chelsea. City and Liverpool currently sit first and second respectively on the EPL table, and Sunday's match will certainly be a spectacle.
Your sports roundup is up next. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's bulletin. Much appreciated for tuning in. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share and click on the notifications bell to stay abreast with the latest happenings locally and globally. Do add your comments as well in the comment section. Catch us on Monday next week for another edition of Prime Time News. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire production crew, it's good night.